In storytelling, and this is to me one of the secret weapons of a storyteller. In storytelling, in order to really, really engage your audience in the conflict, you as a storyteller, you have to show vulnerability. Vulnerability to me is that secret ingredient. And it's hard at first for a lot of, especially, sometimes professionals, because we tend to think of vulnerability as weakness. Even in Latin America, you use the word vulnerabilidad to talk about poverty. And so a lot of people are like, I can't show vulnerability. And I always tell them, vulnerability breeds credibility. When you are vulnerable and you're able to show vulnerability, and understanding vulnerability from the psychological standpoint, which is your ability to show honestly your emotions. That's being vulnerable. When you're able to show what you feel, like if you're going through a hard time and I ask you, hey man, how's it going? And you're like, it's been rough. It's been rough for me.
Yeah.
You're being vulnerable. What do most people do? Even if they're going through a hard time, oh no, everything's great.
Living the dream. That's the thing. Anytime someone says living the dream, I'm like, tell me what that dream is.
Yeah,
and then they immediately go, man, I have no time. My life sucks. I don't have a good relationship with my spouse. It's like you are masking your life right now by saying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to add to that because I want to push back a little bit. I believe in vulnerability so much. And in my method, I say perfection never rings as truth as a standard. Like we want to show the imperfection. I would also add on top of that, vulnerability when we're trying to help people take action must be when we are on the other side of the pain that we're trying to help them solve. Because if we're still in the middle of that pain and our vulnerability comes out in that way, we have to be a chapter ahead in the book.
Yes.
If we're not a chapter ahead in the book, we can't go in and tell people like with our vulnerable state. That doesn't mean that that vulnerable state doesn't work in a different situation, but knowing when to use what vulnerable state and how is very important because that vulnerability will come across the right way when the context is right.
Yeah.
When the context is wrong, that's when you're going to run into some challenges. So I am in complete agreement and also would add vulnerability on the other side of your pain is where we should deliver solutions.